Ẹ kú ojúmọ́ o, ẹ káàárọ̀, ẹ káàsán, ẹ káalẹ́, ẹ kú ìdájí, ẹ̀yin èèyàn mi, ṣàlàáfíà lẹ wà? um Ìròyìn tí mo mú wá fún yín ní òwúrọ̀ yìí ni ìfọ̀rọ̀wé ọ̀rọ̀ pẹ̀lú bàbá wa Bánjí Akintoye tí mo fi tọ̀wọ̀tọ̀wọ̀ dárúkọ wọn. Mo mọ̀ pé gbogbo wa náà ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa ti rí i, ṣùgbọ́n bí mo ṣe máa ń sọ pé ìgbà tí Àjọkẹ́ bá rí tiẹ̀ náà ló máa sọ, ìgbà tá a bá rí ni náà là ń kí ni. Nítorí náà màá fẹ́ kẹ́ fetí sí ìfọ̀rọ̀wọ́rọ̀ yìí látẹnu wọn ní ìlú Cotonou.
Monsieur, bienvenue à cette grande interview. L'acte de fusion, the Amalgamation Act. The Amalgamation Act of the colony of Northern Nigeria and Southern Nigeria that gave birth to Nigeria in 1914 has for several years been closely examined and criticized by a range of ethnic groups who feel aggrieved, as well as by Nigerian political observers who see the amalgamation as a marriage between reluctant partners. And all of this is reflected in the separatist movement, which claim that their region is marginalized or underdeveloped. Successive Nigerians have tried for many years to organize national conferences aimed at promoting dialogue and unity in Nigeria. And this is going to be the main topic of our interview with our guest, Professor Bánjí Akintoye. Professor Bánjí Akintoye, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Can you please introduce yourself as well as your organization?
Yeah, my name is Bánjí Akintoye, Professor Bánjí Akintoye. I'm a former senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I'm the leader of the Yoruba struggle now for self-determination, which means sovereignty and separation from Nigeria.
Why are you calling for the self-determination of the Yoruba people?
Because Nigeria has become a death house for its many peoples. It all started from independence. Up to independence, we were doing quite well. Okay. For instance, we in Yoruba land were the fastest growing, the fastest modernizing country, a part of Africa, not just Nigeria. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were the first to establish free education for children, the first to develop industrial estates, the first to create an accumulation of capital for investment with holdings in industry, banks, real estate, and so on. And we were the first to create a television station on the African continent, long before many countries in Europe had television. Okay. So we were ready to go. Yeah. And that's what our people wanted. But then independence came, and the British chose to manipulate everything to put Nigeria in the hands of the people who didn't have any love for all those modern developments. Even until 2 years ago, a member of and the group is the Fulani. They said the Fulani were the quote, friendly people, yeah. The British. And the reason is that they thought that these were the people they could manipulate and get whatever they want out of Nigeria after independence. So they made them, they manipulated everything, the constitution, the regional boundaries, the sizes of the regions, the census, the elections, and so on, in order to make sure that these people will be the rulers of Nigeria, the dominant rulers of Nigeria, and they will have made the dominant rulers of Nigeria to rule a country like Nigeria, with a very large Yoruba nation, highly modernizing, the most educated people on the African continent, and so on. You have them there. You have another large group called Igbo, another very, very dynamic people, also desirous of modernization. And so naturally, these people who didn't want education, who were not educated and so on, had to find way to manipulate things to do these peoples down And so that's what they've been doing since independence. Their own method of ruling is to bring the other people down. And so less than 2 years after independence, they declared an emergency over the western region. That's where the Yoruba people live. And imposed a sole administrator appointed by the federal government. And so on. They began to destroy the spirit of a federation in order to be able to control the lives of these other people. That was the only way they could bring them down and control them. And so, weaken in order to control, pauperize in order to control. Those are the principles of their governance.
So basically, which means is your movement using to achieve self-determination?
We are a self-determination movement. Self-determination. We want the self-determination for the Yoruba nation, according to the laws that rule the world. The United Nations Charter, 1948, the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, 2007, the African Charter of Peoples of the Rights of Peoples and of Rights of Individuals and People, and so on. All of these say that the right of self-determination is an inalienable right of every group on earth. Every ethnic group. And so that's what we are doing. We're trying to take for ourselves the rights that the laws of this world say is our right. And we know it is our right.
But how exactly are you doing it?
We are doing it peacefully. We are doing it very peacefully. We made a statement from the beginning that we are going to do this. We are too big a people, too civilized a people to be engaging in violence. So we decided from the beginning it was not going to be violent. And we educated our young people. There was the largest mass of educated people in Africa. And we educated them to say,
no violence.
We have no violence. We know young people want to go into violence. It's natural with young people. But we appealed to them, educated them, and they accepted that. So the result is that we have been peaceful all the way. We have held huge rallies. But the instruction to the young people as they poured out into the streets, no violence, no conflict with the police. If you are gathered in a place and you want to hold your rally in a place and the police come and they say, no, you cannot hold it, they ask them, where else can we go to? We just want to exercise our rights. Our right. It's our natural right to hold a rally.
Sure.
So if it is not convenient for the government for us to gather in this place, and they have instructed you not to let us gather in this place, where do you want us to gather? So the first rally, for instance, in Ibadan, we had announced to our people, we are going to hold and start from front of one of the most popular city halls in Yoruba land, Mapo Hall in Ibadan.
How did it go?
When they arrived there that morning, the police and the army had taken possession of the whole area, and they said our boys could not rally there. So the boys got together and went to the policeman. Okay, sir, you say we cannot rally here, but you know we have a right to rally. That's our right.
Yeah.
So where do you want us to go? He then told them, go down there, that open place in front of the market. And they went there. It was a God-given decision by that policeman. Because that meant that the people of the market came out in large numbers to join it. So before they knew it, about 1.2 million people were in the streets rallying for Yoruba nation. Then after Ibadan, we held another about 2 weeks after that in Abeokuta, another major town of the Yoruba people. And it was a much larger rally than the Ibadan rally. Then
much larger than the 1.2.
The first one. With the first one was just 1.2 million. The Abeokuta rally was close to 2 million.
Wow.
Yeah, So then, and when that happened, we thought, we can never get a crowd that will be larger than that. But we did.
It means the movement is really getting stronger.
Yeah, we did. 2 weeks later, we had another rally in Oshogbo, and it was bigger than the Abeokuta rally. So, we had to accept that this is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Then we went to Akure, and it was bigger than Oshogbo. And then we went to Ado Ekiti in the far east of Yoruba land. And it just beat all records. 3.1 million people, 3.1 million. That's the largest crowd that has ever gathered in the history of Nigeria in one single time. So, and yet, in all this, there was no violence, there was no conflict with the police, nobody was arrested, nobody got wounded or anything. That's the nature of our movement. We want to do things without violence. They know that, we respect every group. Where there are politicians among us, we respect them. It's their right. We are building a country that is going to be one of the most democratic in the world. And so we must not begin now to compel people to do what we want. No, they want to
they have to join freely.
To play Nigerian politics. Yeah, for now, let them. But when the time comes, they will recognize that that's a non-viable role.
Why are you seeking independence and not a regional autonomy within the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
When these things began to happen, and the federal, our fathers, we Yoruba were led by Chief Obafemi Awolowo. He was one of the makers of the whole idea of federation. That was what our leaders agreed upon before independence. When they began to diminish the federalism, then a lot of people began to cry out for restructuring. Let's go back. Let's go back to the origin, which was a federalism. And we were all involved in it. I wrote more than 140 articles in the newspapers promoting the idea of federalism, the advantages of living in the federation in a country like our own, what we had gained in the past, and how to do it, and so on and so forth. It is when we got tired, and we knew that the people we were dealing with would never, those who still think that, federalism, regionalism, it will never happen. So if anybody thinks that restructuring of federalism or regionalism is going to return to Nigeria, they're just deceiving themselves. So we Yoruba have taken our decision. We've seen enough of it. Because the excessive centralization is destroying the life of Nigeria. It's destroying the life of every part of Nigeria. The educational standards are going down. So educational standards are going down. The universities are being wrecked. The primary schools and secondary schools are all becoming slums. And that's what they want. It's not happening by chance. It's happening as a matter of policy.
And why do you think they are doing that?
Because they want to be able to control the people who are bigger than themselves and better educated than themselves. And the power is in their hands. So what they use is to use the power to climb them down. That's the only way. It's the only logical thing they can do. There is no other way. They cannot allow a democratic situation. Everybody is free to do what they want, and then we contest election and then no. They cannot accept that, because it will mean that they will lose power, and they don't want to lose power. So the idea then is pauperize them, destroy their system of education. I have had people face me. I was in the Senate. I have had people face me from among the Fulani in the Senate and tell me, all that your education, we are going to destroy it. All that your education, we are going to destroy it. And they are destroying it. So, and then they have dragged our society down so much that now the hundreds of thousands of young people who are graduating from universities and colleges and polytechnics in Yoruba land, there is no job for them. So large numbers of them are fleeing the country. What they are trying to do in this Yoruba land, is to achieve an Almajiri mass as they have in the north. So they want to have an educated Almajiri. What is Almajiri? People who are poor, no education, no knowledge, no hope, nothing. Roaming around the streets, begging. turn our young people to. It will not happen. It will not happen. No way. So large numbers of our children are fleeing the country and going to other countries and going there to do a great deal of good work for their employers in those countries. But many who don't have the patience and don't have the help to leave the country are trying to run out of the country by some illegitimate routes. Especially they believe they can walk across. Take the map of Africa. It looks open. Young mind. You can walk from Ibadan to Shogo, to Ilorin, to Jeba, to Kaduna, to Sokoto, to the desert, beyond Nigeria, and go across the desert to the oases in the desert and end up in Libya. And large numbers of our young people in desperation are doing that. And many of them are dying in the desert.
The general elections are supposed to be held in Nigeria in February 2023. What is the position of your movement with reference to these elections?
As far as we are concerned, Nigeria doesn't exist for us anymore. So the election in Nigeria doesn't mean anything to us. And we want our brothers who are running around saying they want to be this or that. You are wasting your time. You are wasting your time. So the country you say you want to rule is no longer there. Here is a country that can no longer pay the salaries of its civil servant, that has to borrow money for everything. One minister announced that every penny needed to fulfill the next budget will be borrowed. And the International Monetary Fund says that Nigeria is spending 92.6% of its income to service debts. And you say you want to be president of that kind of country. It doesn't make sense. But human ambition, personal ambition, is something that nobody can dictate to. We cannot dictate to them. But we are telling them, you are making the most hideous mistakes in your life. Your own people want to get out. Your own people are being killed. Instead of giving the energy and the influence that God has given to you to help your people, you now want to contest election to be president of Nigeria. Where is it, Nigeria?
Which kind of relationship do you maintain with the authorities of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
I've told you our struggle is peaceful. We don't threaten them. We don't attack them. We don't fight with the police. Our young people are educated. We told them, these young boys that you see, these young men that you see in police uniform, they are just like you. These are boys and girls who needed jobs and who applied to the police and were recruited. They are not different from you. They are just doing the job that was given to them so they could earn their salary and go and take care of their families. Yes. So don't treat them like enemies. They are not your enemies. So we are an educated movement. We are fighting in the most sophisticated manner imaginable. So we have no problem. We have no attack on. We don't attack the government. We don't attack the agencies of the government. No. But we are mobilizing our people together to be ready to get out of Nigeria.
On July 21st, 1964, during the conference of the head of states of governments of the Organization of African Unity held in Cairo, it was decided on the principle of the inviolability of borders in Africa. For African states, this technically means, on one hand, any territorial claim coming from another state, and on the other hand, any secessionist movements coming from within, likely to call into question the borders resulting from independence. Given such an important international relations standards, don't you think that your movement is weakening African unity?
It is not secession at all. There was no secession included. All that was the reason.
What was it?
The reason that agreement was reached is that many African countries, in many African countries, there were people who should belong to another country. From Kenya, between Kenya and Somalia, there are people who are Somalis who are in Kenya. There are people who are in Ghana should be with their kids and kin in Togo. It is all over the continent. Yeah. So the African Organization for African Unity then met and looked at it all and decided, although this situation is as it is, we must preserve the colonial boundaries for peace in Africa. Yeah. So we who are in this country, who are here, whose kinsmen are in another country, cannot decide that we want to go and join them, because that will lead to trouble. That's it. That is all that agreement was made for.
Don't you fear chaos and interethnic strike if the Southwest secedes from Nigeria as it occurred in the former Yugoslavia in the 1990s?
No, there will be no trouble in Yoruba land. The Yoruba people are happy to have their own country. There will be no problem there. And we are not like Yugoslavia. And in any case, Yugoslavia is like Nigeria is now. There were various peoples, the Slovens, the Croats, the Slavs, and so on. And the people wanted a loose federation so that they can manage their own affairs. The Serbs, the majority people, refused to let it happen. So one day, the Slovens and the Croats decided that they were seceding. And that's what led to war. You couldn't have it like that.
It has been brought to our attention through social media that Yoruba independence is scheduled for this month and that a number of countries are willing to recognize the new states. Can you please be more specific?
Yeah, a number of countries are ready to recognize us. Some are already helping us. Quietly.
Yeah.
But it is not diplomatic. It doesn't make diplomatic sense for us to be mentioning their name. I cannot mention their names to you. Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, it's not fake news. Some countries are actually helping you.
Oh yeah, they're waiting for us.
How about the independence aspect of the months during the month of December?
Yeah, we are saying that of course, we want our country today, tomorrow. Our young people want their country, and they think that I, as their leader, their father, I'm too slow. They want it now. No. I want it now myself. Yeah. But we have to work out certain things.
Okay.
And we still believe we are going to have our country this December.
This December, still.
We still believe it. But we are a very highly educated nation. We will work out everything meticulously before we go forward and do it. Okay. So when we say this December, yes, we mean this December. As I said, we are highly educated people, and we will work towards that. We are working towards this December.
Yeah,
no question.
Okay. And now to the last question of this interview. Malgré les énormes challenges auxquels est confronté le Nigeria, la provision de croissance du FMI pour 2022 est de 3% et des investisseurs du monde entier continuent à être très actifs dans le pays. Ne pensez-vous pas que votre mouvement d'autodétermination ne gêne-t-il pas d'innombrables intérêts économiques? In spite of the many challenges faced by Nigeria, the IMF forecasts GDP growth for 2022 is 3%, and investors from around the world are still active in the country. Don't you think that your self-determination movement will actually hinder multiple economic interests?
The IMF has its own ideas about Nigeria, and they are not good.
Okay.
The United Nations has ideas about Nigeria, and they are not good. And a United Nations country analysis of Nigeria said Nigeria is one of the surprisingly poorest countries in the world, and one of the least equal countries. That many peoples in Nigeria have been so brutalized that they fear that they have been targeted for examination. That's United Nations report. A visitor from, an official visitor from the United Nations in 2020 made the statement that the constitution that these people have written for Nigeria is it's like a bomb set to detonate and destroy Nigeria. You know, pressure cooker for injustice and division and strife. So the world has given up on Nigeria here. And that's the truth of the matter. Another report, United Nations says, if Nigeria pulls itself together and begins to go the right way, because it says every index of development is operating at lower levels than that of any other country in the world. Yeah. If Nigeria pulls itself together, it's going to have a long way before it can become a country again. Oh. Yeah, a long way. That is if Nigeria pulls itself together and is doing better. But Nigeria is not doing better at all. Nigeria is doing worse and worse. So there's no country, seriously speaking, in Nigeria.
Professor Banji Akintoye, thank you for your time. Eh bien voilà, mes amis. And that will be all for this interview. Thanks for your attention.
ẹ̀yin èèyàn mi ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́ mo lérò pé ẹ gbọ́ àtúmọ̀ wá fún yín tó bá ṣeé ṣe ní èdè Yorùbá nítorí wípé kí ni àwọn tí wọ́n ń bá sọ̀rọ̀ wọn ò gbọ́ èdè wa rí ọ̀wọ́n ibi tí bàbá tí wọ́n ti ṣiṣẹ́ lọ láti bí ọdún 2 mẹ́ta àwọn ìwé tí wọ́n ti kọ sí wọn tán gbà wọlé àti gbogbo ìròyìn tí wọ́n ń sọ táwọn ará bíi tí wọ́n ń gbọ́ ẹ rí pé ó ti rìn jìnnà ṣùgbọ́n nǹkan kan tó ń kọ èmi ní ominú nínú ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ni wípé tí wọ́n bá gbé ọ̀rọ̀ lọ bá bàbá pé báyìí bàbá ò ní fẹ́ wọn ò fẹ́ ṣẹ àwọn èèyàn gbogbo ohun tí wọ́n bá ti gbọ́ tó bá ti ní bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni wọ́n á bọ́ síta àwọn náà bá wọn sọ ní tèmi bàbá èmi ò fara mọ́ èyí tí ẹ sọ wípé ní December yìí now ẹ̀yin náà ti sọ ẹ ní àwọn tójú ń kán wọ́n sọ pé December yìí now ìbéèrè tèmi fẹ́ béèrè ni bàbá pé ṣé ẹ̀yin náà ní ọ̀dọ̀ ti sáìdì tiyín ṣé ti parí iṣẹ́ débi tó fi jẹ́ pé December yìí now àbí torí pé ẹ fẹ́ ṣe àwọn ọ̀dọ́ lẹ́yìn náà ṣe sọ pé now because nǹkan tẹ́ bá wọn sọ òun náà máa dì mú pé ṣe bí bàbá náà sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n á ní ṣe bí wọ́n sọ pé ìbò ò ní sí ní Èkìtì ìbò ò ní sí ní Ọ̀ṣun December yìí náà ni ṣé mọ̀ pé gbogbo nǹkan báyìí ó máa ń mú tí ò bá rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ó mú ọkàn ṣáko èrò tèmi lèmi sọ bàbá ó máa ń mú ọkàn ṣáko ẹ má ní torí pé ẹ fẹ́ tẹ́ àwọn èèyàn kan lọ́rùn pé nǹkan tí wọ́n bá ti sọ tó bá ti gbé wá bá yín tó sọ sí yín lẹ́nu ó yẹ kẹ́ bi wọ́n pé ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ní December now níbo lẹ bá dé báwo lẹ ṣe tó ẹ̀yin ọmọ mi ẹ dẹ̀ ń láti sọ pé àwọn ọmọ mi sọ pé December now ẹ ní sọ pé ẹ̀yin náà ní now bàbá tí ò bá jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ bàbá ìmọ̀ràn lèmi kàn mú wá ẹni bá gbé ìmọ̀ràn wá tí ò dá yín lójú tẹ́ ẹ̀ rí ibi tán ṣe nǹkan dé ẹ má bá wọn sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ bàbá ẹ má bá wọn sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ má jọ ń fi ìrẹ́kúrẹ́ máa rẹ́ yín lára àwọn tán ní ẹ̀ ṣiṣẹ́ kankan látìgbà tẹ́ ti wà ń bẹ̀ gbà táwọn dé mí lọ́wọ́n ṣe gbogbo iṣẹ́ ẹ jẹ́ kàn ṣe Olóyè Ìgbòho ti sọ pé tọkùnrin bá réjò tóbìnrin pa kò sí nǹkan tó burú bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ máa wò ní tiyín torí tẹ́ ẹ sọ now December yìí bóyá bó ṣe yé mi sí ni o àbí mi ò dẹ̀ gbọ́ òyìnbó dáadáa. Ẹ̀yin aráalé, ojú tẹ́yin náà bá fi wò, mo ní kí n mú ìròyìn yìí wá fún yín ni. Ọdún á bá wa láyé, á bá wa láàyè. Àwa náà ń retí o bàbá. Tó bá dẹ̀ jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ now tó ṣẹ, àdúrà gbogbo wa náà ni, kì í ṣe pé a lòdì sí. Èmi ò ní kéèyàn kan má bú mi o. Ẹ ṣé, a dúpẹ́.